Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little tardy. What I'm going to do today is I have a list of things that came in the group. So I'm going to go over those. And I'm also going to go over some live training audits for the girls that posted them in the group. So you guys can kind of get a real-time view of like what that looks like for specific exercises. Of course, at any point, if you guys want to chime in a question in the group, there is a little chat function. You should see it looks like a bubble there, and you can plug some questions in there. I will stick around after I'm sort of done blabbing. If anybody has some remaining questions or wants help specifically, by all means, this is what that call is for, so we can troubleshoot all that fun stuff. Okay, so I am going to dive into the questions that have kind of come through over the last week. If I missed any, again, you can plug them in the chat and I can answer them real time. And these are ones that I saw come through that are kind of recurring themes that I just wanted to go over. So the first question was, does anyone take creatine and do you recommend it? So this one is one that we always recommend for our girls who are weight training. It is an easy way to sort of boost your ability to build muscle, keep muscle, and not feel like, you're kind of spinning your wheels with just protein and making sure you're hitting all of the targets for that. So creatine is usually a powder form. You'll want to look for creatine monohydrate, and it is very simple. You just scoop it, add it to your water, shake it up. It's tasteless. You drink it. And essentially that is going to help with, again, building muscle, keeping muscle. So a lot of people think, well, I don't need that. I'm not trying to like get real bulky and build muscle and all of that. It is actually a fantastic supplement for women who, especially as we age, we're over 30, get over 40 and beyond. It is a lot harder for us to keep our muscle and continue to sculpt and build muscle. So this is a great one to add in. It's very, very cheap, and you can kind of find it at any supplement store, right? So you can order it online even if you want. So I will link up some stuff for you guys as well. There is a supplement download in the portal that you guys can find all of the links for that good stuff in there as well. Then we had somebody had asked or kind of made a comment about feeling really nauseous during a workout. Does anybody else experience this? Show of hands? No. Okay. So occasionally, I'm going to be real with y'all, I threw up last week. And that is not something that I ever am excited about or like, yeah, my workout was so hard, I threw up. When we train clients at the studio and we have new people come in, we know that sometimes they're embarrassed to say like, oh, this is too hard. I need to back off or really take a break. And it is, our job there when we're in person to really read body language and scale things back if we need to. And that's the beauty of having a personal trainer. But when you're working out by yourself, you're going to have to auto-regulate that. Well, I didn't auto-regulate that very well. I did not work out at all last week. And I decided to go in, I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Friday of this past week. I did the leg workout and I was about 3/4 of the way through. I was putting my boyfriend through it as well. And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to throw up. And I just like bolted to the bathroom and went up there and just started kind of dry heaving. I hadn't really eaten anything, and a little bit of my pre-workout and my BCAAs came up. And so it wiped me out. Like I came home, I didn't want to eat anything. I had to take a nap. It was not pretty, you guys. So if you get to that point, sometimes it's a matter of you're pushing too hard. I hadn't worked out in a week and I was trying to be a hero and go all in and then some. So it made me feel not so well. But some things that can contribute to that is if you eat too close to your workout, that is a huge one. So I say give yourself about 60 minutes if you can to digest. That is going to be a huge piece of it. It also matters what you eat before you work out. So if you eat something that's really heavy, really greasy, something that is just not going to have you feeling energized for your training, that can most definitely be something that contributes to it. And the other thing is if you take supplements or vitamins or anything on an empty stomach, and then, pound back a bunch of BCAAs, which was the case for me, and then go in and try to be like superwoman, that can also produce that effect. So if you feel that you want to scale back, take a deep breath. I had to like splash my face with water, drink some water, sit down, tap out for a minute, and then went back to it because I was feeling okay. But just so you know, we don't want you throwing up. That is never, ever our goal. So make sure that is something you're aware of. If you're like, ooh, I'm feeling queasy, I'm feeling sick, don't push through, take a break, and then come back if you can. And if not, tomorrow's a new day, right? The next one we saw was a couple people had mentioned the scale is not moving. The scale is not moving. What do I do, right? Somebody in particular had said, can you please talk more about the scale and the weight changes or lack thereof and how it goes up and down and back and stays up, right? It's just like this little thing that plays around with your emotions. Somebody says, I don't know if I'm the only one, but it's stuck. And for whatever reason, it's really messing with my mind. And I just need some encouragement about it. So the thing with the scale, so we're now going into week 3, right? And with that, you have to think about many things when it comes to the scale. And there's a lot of things that people don't really think about that affect the scale that could be the cause, right? One is sleep. And this is why when we talk about our Sculpt formula, sleep is the top S in there, right? It is making sure that you're getting enough sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're definitely going to see that affecting the scale. It is going to completely skew the numbers on the scale and it is going to make you crazy. So sleep is going to be the first thing. If you have erratic sleep patterns, you're not going to bed at the same time and waking at the same time, and it varies wildly, or you're not getting restful sleep, this is most definitely going to affect the scale more than you think. Okay, so that's one thing. There's a lot of things, but I'm going to throw the top of mind ones. The second one is sodium. So if your sodium and your diet fluctuates daily and it's very unpredictable, the scale is going to be wildly unpredictable. So if you are consuming, let's just say 3,000 milligrams of sodium one day and then 1,500 the next day, then 6,000 the next day, it is a wild fluctuation in your water balance. And so when you are having these wild fluctuations, you're going to retain water just by the nature of sodium's job. So that could be something that is wildly changing up your scale readings. Now, I'm not sending you out on a rush to start counting your milligrams of sodium. However, it's just something for you to be aware of because it is very important that you are salting your foods. A lot of people want to like go low sodium everything. Unless you have some kind of medical condition, high blood pressure, something like that, normal sodium intake is a lot higher than most people think. And you want to make sure that you're not going completely cold turkey on sodium. That is also a culprit of showing the scale, or the scale showing different numbers. Reason being is because if you have really low sodium, then this is kind of a red flag for your body to then kind of hold on to water weight. And that's also another potential issue. So you just have to keep that in mind if your sodium levels are all over the place. If your period is around the corner, I think this is a no-brainer, right? Like PMS symptoms, if you're 7 days out from a period, you might as well forget it. It's going to be all over the place, right? I'm like a day or two out from my period. The scale's up 2 pounds today. I don't stress out about that. I know my belly feels bloated. I'm perimenopausal. There's these things I have to consider with hormones. So that is also another thing. There is like a million reasons, you guys. So that's why we say, if you're just focusing on the scale and you are not literally a robot, you're going to get frustrated, right? It's just going to be all over the place. And then the last one, again, because I can go on to this into exhaustion, is food volume. I'm going to make this a twofer: food volume and digestion. So if you are eating heavier foods one day and then lighter foods another day, even if calorie count is relative, you still have to think about the weight of the food, right? So a chicken breast, 500 calories of a chicken breast is going to weigh a lot heavier on the scale than 500 calories of, potato chips or something. There's going to be different food volume there. even if the calorie content is the same. Hopefully that makes sense. So you have to consider that. And if you're not regularly going to the bathroom and eliminating and pooping and doing all those things, you could be backed up. And I have seen many clients, especially competitors, who have gone a couple days without going to the restroom and then go and they will lose literally, Amanda Glitters, Coach Glitters is one of them, 6 pounds overnight. So this is important. If you are not going to the bathroom, if you are not pooping regularly, you got to get that on track. And, DM me, hit me up. I can help you with some little hints and tips for that, because if I can tell you one thing I talk about a lot with my one-on-one clients, it's poop. Okay. So I am an expert on getting people, on getting them regular. At least I feel like I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve. Okay. Got another question as far as glutamine goes. Does that help with neck and back stiffness? I don't believe glutamine helps necessarily with stiffness if it's more in like the joints, but glutamine is going to be super helpful for muscle recovery. So if you are finding that you are very sore and it's like a muscle soreness, which a lot of times, we tense up when we're doing upper body stuff all through here. So you might be feeling that all in around the complex of your neck. Glutamine will help with soreness. So, and it also helps with gut health as well. So if you find that you struggle with soreness, that is definitely one, hands down, that is also a huge help. Let me see. One more that I had cut and pasted in a different area, but I wanted to highlight was Maya. Maya's actually here this morning, or this afternoon, but she says, so crazy to be coming up on week 3. Week 1, I felt like I was white knuckling it, wandering in the gym like a lost kitten, trying to find the unfamiliar equipment and taking twice as long as the workouts were meant to, obsessively trying to double my protein intake. And she says that, Monday I went over my calories all but one day and still didn't hit my protein goals. But overall, I feel fucking fantastic. Those were her words. So I love that. And she says, I feel more comfortable in my body. I feel more comfortable asking my boyfriend to pitch in around the house so I can build this booty. And this week, my goal is to be more involved in the chat. And we would love that, Maya. So please, yes, be involved. We love that. Just chime in there. Don't be embarrassed. We're all here for the greater good of, improving ourselves. So I sped through that. I've had a lot of coffee this morning, but I'm going to share my screen with you guys and hopefully be able to do this right and give you guys a little view on the training audits. Okay. So we have Wendy is on a hack squat. So she's a little bit cut off here, but this is one of the machines that is on the leg day. With this one, you're going to want to make sure that it's the 1.5 reps, right? So Wendy, I've met Wendy in person. She's come to the studio quite a few times. She's a little bit shorter. I want to say Wendy's probably like 5 feet. So this is going to be a bit more challenging to get a good range of motion if you're shorter, because I always say that a lot of the machines in the weight room were made for our male counterparts, unfortunately. But for this one in particular, I can't see her feet here, but I would bet that her feet are probably too high on the platform. So when you do a hack squat, I'm going to pause it right here. Maybe not. Can I pause it? Can I pause you? Okay. When you do a hack squat, your goal is to get your calves as close to your hamstrings at the bottom of that movement as possible. Okay. Because I don't want to get too like trainer speak on you guys, but the goal is that you want to get as much of a stretch in your leg, in this quad muscle, in order for it to have to do the work to bring that machine back up, right? So for building muscles, you want to get a muscle in a fully lengthened position and then a contracted position, right? So you want to think of her quad is the muscle that is moving her body up and down. Now, right now, this is probably not enough depth for her to be doing this effectively. So I would tell her to bring her feet lower on the platform to create more of an angle there. Okay. So her form looks great in terms of, her knees aren't doing anything weird. She's not locking them out. And her back isn't coming off the pad. But I would say that she probably needs to get a decent amount lower. And for that to happen, she's probably going to need to drop her feet. So that is a training audit for that. And then we have Bev. She is doing squats right here on the Smith machine. And honestly, these look pretty damn good. The only thing you'll see is that her knees bobble in just a teensy bit. This is called, and it's actually not really bad. It's called a knee valgus. You just want to make sure your knees are not doing like what I call the stanky leg, where they're just kind of moving all over the place, but she looks good. So I would say there isn't really anything Bev needs to change here. A couple things we look out for is we don't want to lock out at the top. So it's a little harder to see because her pants are a tiny bit baggy, but if she had like fitted pants on, I could make sure she's not locking her knees out, right? You don't want to lock out. The other thing is she's getting low, right? So her thighs, they're parallel to the ground. That's what we want to see here. We want to see the thighs parallel to the ground. She's not getting too low. She's not staying too high. This is the Goldilocks spot where thighs are parallel to the ground. She's not shoving her elbows back while her hands are on the bar. That's always really hard on the shoulder joints. So she's got her elbows kind of pointed down, which is really nice to just make sure her upper body is in alignment. But this gets 5 stars. This looks really, really good. I would say I would maybe videotape this from a profile view, just to get a little more, specific on that. And then here's another really great one. So this was Becky. So she's doing sort of like a modified lat pull down because she's working out from home. She's got a little one in the back that's trying to not kill themselves as well, which I love. But let me show you something right here. Okay. So when you are doing anything overhead, what you want to avoid is doing this shrugging motions with your shoulders. Okay. These should stay set in stone and the motion should come here. If you're coming up, it's because you don't have the range of motion to go that high. So you got to keep it where you have the range of motion. So for Becky here, she's using a lot of traps. So if you can see when she pulls down right here, looks great. But then when she goes up, see how her scapula moves up. So that's one thing you want to pay attention to. This will replay here in a second, but she pulls down and then she releases. She almost does a shrug up. This is going to cause your traps to grow because this is the muscle that's moving first. This is the muscle that's engaging first. Is when you come up here, it's just immediately coming right here. So one way to fix that is when your arms come up and you feel your traps raise, you need to tuck your shoulders down and then pull. Okay. See the difference there? When my arms are up and my arms are shrugged up, I'm going to want to pull them down and then pull. And that's going to engage your lats instead of your traps. So that was a great one there. And then this one is also, let me see, this was the better angle for me to show you guys. These are the devil's creation themselves. Okay. Bulgarians. Lisette's saying, F Bulgarians, take them out, please. Now, with Bulgarians, one of the biggest things we see is that it starts to come into the low back. Okay. So I'm going to play this video for you and I want you to watch Becky's low back. She has a little bit, and thank you, Becky, for being the guinea pig. She has a little bit of hip instability. And I believe that that's probably what's causing her issues with this particular exercise, because you'll see there's a struggle coming up and out of the bottom. Do you see there's a little bit of like a oomph right here, and it's all dumping into her low back. Okay. So I can see as soon as she goes down right here, watch, keep your eyes on this area right here. Okay. It's almost like a swerve. It's almost like she's snaking up. So what I would say is for this, and this is why these are super important, because if you're finding you're having little injuries or you're not feeling it in a muscle group where you're supposed to, this is where I can put my trainer eyeballs on and I can say, well, there's a little bit of hip instability that I can see from some of these other angles as well. And it's dumping into the low back. So I would take all the weight off. See, her knee bobbles in and her hip does a little bit of a wave. So I would take weight completely off this exercise and I would do it body weighted. You're going to want to squeeze your rib cage together right here, this upper rib cage, and do this completely body weighted until you can start to feel it in your glutes and play around with that position. And the only way you're going to do that is if you take the load out, because your body's trying to compensate for that, and you focus strictly on that glute, pressing through your big toe and your heels and just focusing all on the glute. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys to just kind of see. I know, like, when you're doing it, it's hard to tell like whether or not you're doing these things, but I promise you, if you record yourself, gives you a wealth of knowledge, because you can see exactly where things are sort of derailing. So, so those were the only, I think, training audits I got for this week. But you better believe that on the Boss Bitch Bingo, training audits are going to be one of the things I'm going to dangle as a little carrot for you to earn some points, so that way I can make sure that you guys are training right, and then also you'll get some points for winning some prizes. Okay, I'm going to pop into the chat box. And if you guys got anything other than what I covered, please, by all means, I would love to continue to geek out with you ladies. But let's see, at the top, Lisette says she's doing trifecta. It is $120 for 7 meals, and you can choose the meals. I'm assuming that is probably with some shipping in there. Lisette, let me know. But 7, how much is that per meal? Is that like 12, 7? Somebody who's better at math. My calculator is not up here. Let's see. Lisette says that they're fine. The salmon meals are pretty good. They can use a little flavor. Yes, I know most meal prep companies try to keep things generally on the blander side, and then you can sort of add some, spice or hot sauces and things. Denise says, can you please put all of these things in an Amazon storefront? Actually, that's actually a really good point. I have an Amazon storefront. I know, you guys. I have one that I can give you guys the link to, and I will make sure that I add some of those things. If there's anything in particular you want me to add, please let me know. I believe Bev's probably talking about, or I'm sorry, Denise is probably talking about the water bottle and the gym buddy. So let's see, storefront link. Yeah, I have a bunch of goodies in there, so I'll go ahead and add that. I keep forgetting about it. Let's see. Lisette says, I've gotten nauseous after eating certain things. Yes, for sure. Right before a workout, most definitely. Okay, Denise, very good point. Like I said, a million things that could be causing the scale to not reflect, the truth is diet products, not just Denise's diet sodas, yes, but diet products in general. So if you are using a lot of sugar-free things, packaged foods, things like that, that is most definitely going to skew the scale. Sugar-free things tend to be one of the worst. It does affect your gut biome to some degree, so it will affect the scale as well. Maya says, I think starting creatine, which I love and highly recommend, also can scale numbers to skew upwards, at least in my experience. I think I put it on at least 5 phantom pounds the first week I started taking it. Yes, Maya also has a great point as well. Creatine monohydrate is great for us for muscle building, but one of the things that it does is it pulls water into the muscle cells, which is what we want. We want them to be hydrated. That is one of the ways that, we can expedite the muscle sculpting building process, is to give our muscles hydration. BCAAs are great for that as well too, but creatine will pull water into the gut. And so you will notice that. You might notice a little bit of bloating. I say just deal with it. Let it kind of pass, and just know that first week you might see the scale do some weird things. But like Maya said, it's, the first week is usually where you'll notice it, and then it levels back off. Becky says, no wonder why my traps are huge. Yes, mine are too. I mean, can you guys see like how grossly, I don't know if I could do it anymore. My daughter does it really well, where we have these crazy overbuilt traps, and it's just from years of improper lifting before we knew better. Lisette says, we don't have a hack squat machine at the gym. So I've been doing the leg press machine, not the seated one where you're laying down, kind of. Yeah, I would love it, Lisette, if you could get a picture of it the next time you go, post it in the group and I can guide you a little bit better. Some great other alternatives to the hack squat are going to be something like which a lot of gyms hit or miss don't have, which is a sissy squat machine. Or a front squat. So you could do a front squat with a barbell, which is a little more of, I would say, an intermediate advanced technique, but that's also a really great one in substitution for the hack squat. Bev says, expert on pooping. Diane, I need help. Girl, hit me up in the DMs. I got you. I will help you with all things poop related. Let's see. Is that a good sub or do you recommend another one? Oh, I'm assuming, Lisette, you mean for the hack squat. Leg press is a great one for the hack squat as a substitute. You're going to want to do feet closer together for that one to hit more quads instead of like a super wide stance. So that's super helpful. Julie says, dumb question. I had a treat in between meals. It was not on the plan. How do you recover from that next meal? How do you recover from the next meal? Do you just pretend it didn't happen or do you try to counterbalance the next meal? This is a wonderful question. So you don't pretend it didn't happen because it happened. And so what I typically do, so this is a great example. Yesterday, Coach Glitter came over this weekend. Her and a friend stayed over and we had a little girls weekend. We had brunch yesterday. And if anyone knows Coach Glitter, she is a slut for cinnamon rolls. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. She loves herself some cinnamon rolls. She is like the cinnamon roll connoisseur. We went to a restaurant here in my city that we've never been to. And I guarantee I'm going to show you guys because I haven't posted this yet. I'm going to show you because this is going to give you an example of exactly what I'm talking about. You can see this delightful cinnamon roll. It was literally the size of my head. It was the biggest cinnamon roll I've seen in my entire life. Okay. So she sees a cinnamon roll. She's like, I really want to have that cinnamon roll. I said, well, listen, bitch, I'm willing to go down with you. But then that means the rest of my meal is going to be very boring. So this was my meal. And you can see the cinnamon roll just taunting us in the background, right? So my meal was, I had to modify what was on the menu. It was not on the menu. So they had a veggie scramble. And I said, I'd like the veggie scramble, but I want it with all egg whites, just so I can bring the fat down a little bit, right? Because I'm going to have this fun thing right now. So let me do that. So egg whites, I said, no cheese. And I want to add some chicken sausage because I want to like bolster my protein, right? Then the options for sides were fried potatoes or hash browns or veggies. I chose some steamed veggies, okay? It's not very exciting, but some grilled veggies, and then a side of sourdough toast. So that is how you sort of find the Goldilocks spot with your meals. It's like, okay, sure, I wanted the burrito, for breakfast, or I wanted the French toast and all that stuff. But if I'm going to have the cinnamon roll, that itself, we shared that. It was probably a good 500 calories worth of cinnamon roll that I consumed, right? Because we tore that bitch up. Let me just tell you. So I probably had 500 calories of that. But what I did is what I would do with my children, right? For those of you that have kids, do you usually let your kids have dessert first? Probably not. So I'm going to be responsible. And so we sat down. I had my responsible meal first. I created my base layer of protein, make sure that I'm satiated with that. And then I partook in the cinnamon roll and I ate probably a lot less than I would have. So this is how you sort of balance things out. So in relation to that question, if you had something that's not on the plan, then you just course correct with the next meal, right? So the next meal I had, I knew I had a ton of carbs from that cinnamon roll. I probably didn't really need very much for the rest of the day because I wasn't training, wasn't exercising. I was just getting my steps in. So then the rest of the day, I just ate a little bit lighter on carbs and more protein, and then saved, what little carbs I wanted to have at dinner for dinner time. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's not like a hard and fast, like written strategy, but it's really just like navigating those isolated meals at point of and then adjusting the rest of your day. So that way you can have your cake and eat it too. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So I think that's all I had for you beautiful ladies today. I know one other little comment came in. And I cut the name off. So if it is you, please chime in. But someone posted a great little sort of meme or photo in the Trainerize group. And it was like how we want it to be when we set a goal, right? It's like a straight line, right? It's just exactly perfect. Everything happens according to plan. But what it really looks like is like a loop-de-loo and swirls and downs and ups. And it's just, it's an emotional roller coaster. So just know that that is normal. You're on track. And whoever posted this said, a wise friend once told me, you can't get off track. You're not a train. Success is not linear. And that is absolutely entirely true. And she was saying that little picture sort of depicts that entirely. And so just know that while you might feel like some days this is all going great and fine, other days it's not. And that's totally normal. Like the old me would have been like, well, I had a cinnamon roll, so I might as well just be an asshole the rest of the day, right? Like, it's all right. The day's trash. I might as well just make the rest of the day trash. But when you can start to wrap your head around, well, just this meal is going to be off track. And then the next meal, I'm just going to get right back at it. And I'm not going to try to negotiate with myself that I've ruined the whole day and the diet starts tomorrow, right? This is just like a failed way of like kind of keeping your mindset. Becky says that was Annie. Yes. Emily says that is helpful. I'm used to doing a treat meal, but was wondering how to balance that. Yeah, it's totally doable. I'm up a couple pounds today because my period's starting tomorrow. And I know, by the time my period starts and I'm kind of, through the whole bloating and day one awfulness, it'll be, back to what it was. So yes, you're absolutely welcome.